Hi, my name is Megan Bishop. I'm an Arts and Entertainment Management sophomore at Pace University, obviously. This past semester, I was given the opportunity to work for Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. I was an intern there through the Disney College program, and the Disney College program is basically an internship program that reaches out to college students, international students, and cultural representatives from all over the globe and entices them to work at Walt Disney World, which has been one of my dreams since as long as I can remember. The Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida was created by Walt and Roy O. Disney. In 1923, the company was founded. The resort itself was built in 1971. Part of the Walt Disney Company consists of four business segments: media networks, parks, experiences and products, studio entertainment, and direct-to-consumer and international. Media networks consist of all of Disney's TV shows and media networks. Parks, experiences, and products consist of all of Disney parks, resorts, merchandise, and all of their Disney experiences and cruise lines. Studio entertainment consists of all of Disney's original movies and music and live shows such as Broadway. And direct-to-consumer and international consists of all of Disney's international endeavors, along with its direct-to-consumer offerings such as its streaming services like ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. The Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida is a giant enterprise. It sits on about 28,000 acres of land, and it's big enough that it was given its own town called Reedy Creek in Orlando. Its annual profit was over $3 billion in 2017 alone, with an annual revenue of about $14 billion before operating costs. It saw about 20 million park guests in 2017 alone. Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida consists of 4 Disney parks: Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Magic Kingdom, along with Disney parks that correspond with each of those Disney resorts that correspond with each of those parks, and Disney Springs and its corresponding hotels. As an internship, my role as a cast member was in entertainment. I was an entertainment cast member, cast specifically as a character performer. Character performers have a somewhat different role than the rest of cast members because rather than being cast in one specific location where you stay for your entire program, such as my roommates who are in outdoor vending, custodial, photo pass, and more, I could be scheduled globally, meaning I could be scheduled in any of the parks or resorts for my shifts at any time, and I had to be prepared for it. Also, as a Disney College program participant, I was making a wage of $10 an hour, and that wage is consistent with all Disney College program participants, whether you're international or not, and it's consistent over every role. So whether you're in custodial, quick service food and beverage, merchandise, or like me, entertainment, you make the same amount of money despite what your coworkers may be making. The Disney College program provides its workers with full-time hours and the benefits of an internship program. So it had a lot of educational offerings that we could sign up for. It offered housing, just like a normal college for students like me who are out of state, but at the same time, you did not receive the benefits of full-time workers, such as health insurance and things like that. So those full-time hours had their ups and downs. You were working a lot of the time during the week, and if you were staying in school like I was online, you just had a lot to balance on your plate. But overall, the Disney College program is an awesome opportunity that gives students the advantage of working and doing their schoolwork at the same time and getting a lot of good knowledge and internship credit at once. For my operational case study, obviously the Walt Disney World Company is a giant enterprise and I had a lot of information to work with. So the company as a whole consists of their 4 segments: media networks, parks, experiences and products, studio entertainment, and direct-to-consumer international. The entire company is run by CEO Bob Iger, and my specific parks and entertainment is run by Chairman Bob Chapek. The marketing of Disney World is very, very unique in that it uses all of its brands and brand stories to promote its products and its parks. So it uses its movies to build new lands off of, and it uses those lands to promote its products that are based off of the movies. Everything is tied together. Walt Disney World's target market is families, especially children, but to get the children to come, you need to also create things that will entice the adults. Disney's human resource management is what I didn't quite expect it would be like. Disney pays a lot lower of a salary than I would have expected, but with all of the benefits it offers to its full and part-time cast members, such as complimentary admission to parks, health insurance, health and wellness offerings. There's a cast fitness center. There's Mickey's Retreat, which is just a cast entertainment center. A lot of different things that they offer their cast members to make up for the low pay that they give a lot of people that work there. Also, Walt Disney World alone in Orlando, Florida, employs 70,000 employees, which is a giant segment. It has many levels of management throughout the parks, so you can climb the ladder even in parks alone, and you can make it to the top of management where you are. Also, the turnover rate is very high, which makes training critical because so many of us are coming from Disney programs and internships. So a lot of us are coming for 4 months at a time, leaving and letting new people in. The daily operations of entertainment cast members are a lot different from the daily operations of normal cast members that work in traditional positions. We are led by entertainment managers among the entire park and entertainment leaders in our certain areas. We're given our set schedules at the very beginning of the day. We're expected to check them and follow them specifically, clocking in and out on time and taking every specified break we are given and being on set at the right times. So all of that is up to you. You have to be responsible for yourself and get everything done. We're also evaluated by performance specialists throughout our time working. They will watch us during our guest interactions and give us feedback during offset times. And we are expected to give guest interactions that are specific and individual to each guest while still being efficient and to bring the magic to life in whatever role we're given. Financial management in the Walt Disney Company is a lot to work with because they have a lot of money to work with. Walt Disney World Resort consists of 36,077 guest rooms with an average occupancy rate of 78%, high for an average. Magic Kingdom boasts an average of 56,000 guests per day. Epcot serves over 33,000 guests daily. Animal Kingdom serves about 34,000 guests each day. And Hollywood Studios has around 29,000 guests daily, which is a giant number of attendees per day, so they're making a lot of revenue there as well. Operating income for parks is also very high though. It's up about 6% from 2016 because of all the expansions that they're doing at the parks and resorts. But again, that's going to bring in more guests and more customers, so they're making up for it in the long run. The domestic sector of Disney parks made $14.8 billion in revenue, with an additional $3.6 billion in international revenue in their parks. Strategic plans and objectives for the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida also conspire with the objectives of Walt Disney World Company as a whole. So, Walt Disney World Company plans to create a streaming service called Disney Plus to house Disney films and TV shows. That way they can gain more intellectual property and use that intellectual property to create more parks and lands in the parks and bring more guests in. So they're using their intellectual property, their films, their TV, their shows to entice people to buy their products and gain admission to their parks, stay at their resorts, etc. A side effect to their success, though, is a lot of the times whenever they market so well and they have so many things going on at once, their products compete with each other on the shelves. So you'll see a Black Panther toy and you'll also see a Disney Princess toy, and those are the things that are competing for children's attention. So you kind of have eating up each other's profit. So the problem that I observed whenever I was working at Walt Disney World, one of the biggest things that they have an issue with is overcrowding. And even though it may not seem like it, with the amount of guests that they have coming in per day, a lot of times parks can get a ton of people in one area and not a lot of people in the rest of the park. So there's a lot of crowding in specific areas and there's really no way to control it right now. So a lot of things that have issues whenever this happens and certain areas get overcrowded is security, equipment, and organization become compromised. Security in the front of the parks becomes compromised during peak seasons because they have a lot of guests coming into line, and security officers are encouraged by leaders to work more efficiently, therefore check bags more quickly, maybe miss a few more things as they go. With the amount of people coming in the parks, it's just incredibly important that security officers be just as thorough, whether there's a whole line of guests behind them or a really short line, because the more guests that are in the park, the more opportunity there is to lose items, get items stolen, or for tensions to run high, fights to break out, things like that. It happens a lot more than expected to see. Equipment can become compromised because whenever certain amounts of people go into certain lands and there are unexpected amounts of guests, It's almost impossible for the mobile merchandise and the mobile food and beverage stands to keep up. They only have a certain number of things that they can keep stocked at once, and they run out very quickly. I know this firsthand because one of my friends worked in food and beverage, and she would run out of Mickey bars every day about 3 times per day and have to wait hours on end to get new ones. So you have a lot of guests leaving unhappy that way. Also, organization is compromised whenever lines for rides get to like maybe 5 hours sometimes. Avatar Flight of Passage, there's an example. The line would come out of the queue, have no more room, be led across the walkways and past where they could rope off and just work into the walkways and block all of the traffic. So people were getting blocked in and out of different areas, couldn't move around, and it was causing a lot of issues organizationally. Some solutions that I found to these different problems were, first of all, lines for major attractions should be cut off eventually. Right now, cast members don't have the power to do that. They must continue to divert customers until they just decide they don't want to come anymore. I feel like at the point that the lines come out of the queue and come out of the point where they can be roped off, they need to be cut. They need to be cast members there turning people away saying this ride is closed for now. Also, in park areas that are experiencing extremely high traffic, cast members should be stationed at entrances of the park areas. So cast members should be at the entrances of these new lands or these overly crowded lands, telling guests, hey, we're close to reaching capacity in this area. You might want to try going to a different area and come back later. Or just letting them know that it's going to be overcrowded will prepare them for the crowds and the lines before they go in, so that they don't go in expecting no one and get even more angry upon arriving. Cast members outside can also divert them to maybe other rides that usually have long lines that don't anymore because such a high volume of the guests are in that certain area. Also, security must be consistent regardless of the volume of visitors. So, as I said, efficiency is not key in that situation. Safety is key, the 4 keys of Disney. So we're never going to make our security members go faster. We will always have consistency and security at bag checks, no matter how long the lines get. We will add to the bag checks rather than making security members move faster, so we'll have more places for the lines to go instead of just moving things along. Also, to avoid supply shortages in outdoor vending locations, there should always be a preset cart, backstage, offstage, ready to go for switch outs, so that one of the cast members that's working at that cart can leave, go get the cart, and restock themselves, rather than having to wait for a runner and wait on that time and get guests angry in that time. So, being at Disney, I did learn a lot. I feel like there were a lot of benefits to me being there and to this case study as a whole. Some of my objectives were very specific, and I feel like I reached some of them, such as I learned Disney-specific operations that put the company above other entertainment companies. So I learned the 4 keys of Disney, which are safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency in that order. This really means a lot to our park operators and our park guests because we will never put courtesy over the safety of ourselves or others, but we will also never put show over courtesy or efficiency over courtesy to guests. We'll never try to move people faster. We will always put courtesy first. Also, I learned that they create brand stories to connect customers and products in all industries. So really using their size to their advantage and connecting all of their brands through their movies and through those stories that they already had, making audiences feel a connection before they even try to sell anything. I also improved my guest service skills and professional interaction skills. I learned how to speak to my managers as friends while still respecting their level of leadership over me. In most cases, I just didn't speak to my managers very much because I felt like they were towering over me or above me in some level, but at Disney, it's really encouraged a family environment, so I learned how to speak to them in a friendly manner while still getting my point across and making sure I was speaking in a respectful and professional manner. Also, I gained insight on how to make each guest feel important to the company. So giving guests those individualized interactions, finding a way to relate to even guests from different countries, guests that don't speak the same language as me, finding any way to make them feel like they are one of our valued guests was something that I learned incredible amounts about at Disney. Just learning from other cast members and learning from entertainment cast members, it was incredible to see. Finally, I gained versatility and experiences and roles to better acquaint me with the ever-changing world of entertainment. So I definitely learn the importance of contingency plans in entertainment. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. There's always going to be something that changes up what we're doing, but you always have to just go with the flow and keep going, and there's always room for improvement. Yeah, that was my time at Disney. It was awesome. Time for questions. Mom and Dad?
Okay, so can you tell me how many interns there were for the spring semester? Do you know?
Semester? I know that in my Spring Disney College program alone, not Spring Advantage or anything else, no internationals, there were 6,000 of us. So 6,000 came in for just those 4 months, unless they extended.
So after the 4 months, when you're all gone, what happens?
Well, more than you expect extend their programs and end up staying into the summer months, or they go part-time, full-time, or seasonal, so they don't lose as many cast members as you expect, but they also have a new wave coming in. They keep international cast members for a full 6 months, so they don't go back until midway through the summer. And then they have Fall Advantage coming in at the beginning of that and covering for the rest of it. So there's always like a flow of college program students coming in and out.
But with Universal being very nearby, so the entertainment down there, are they?
They're not prohibited at all. Actually, a lot of entertainment cast members at Disney also work at Universal. Just because Disney actually doesn't see Universal as very much of a threat, so they don't really care. Universal's the big one that's like, oh, if you're working at Disney, it's a little bit iffy. But at the same time, they know that they're not a threat to Disney either, so there's not that much conflict.
So with the new Star Wars area that's coming out, everybody heard kind of happened with Harry Potter over at Universal. Have any specific experience for handling those crowds?
You know, that's one of the main reasons I wrote my section on overcrowding. Disney has much less plans for it than Disneyland does, so Disney World doesn't have the same types of plans as Disneyland because Disneyland can restrict it based on people that have room reservations, and that's how they're doing reservations for the Star Wars land. But since Walt Disney World has 36,000 rooms, if they did that, they'd just be letting more and more people into the park and reach capacity immediately. So basically their plans are to let people in waves, but at the same time that's kind of impossible if you're trying to restrict guests when you don't know who's planning on going to Star Wars Land or not. So they're just blocking all cast members out of the park for admission, and if they need to go to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 closures, they will.
What secrets can you tell us about Disney as you work no longer working there?
Secrets? What kind of secrets? Like what aspect?
How you gonna run faster?
There is no way. I will tell you that. So one of the things that I learned is that cast members don't have as many perks as you think. So if you're trying to get on a ride faster, it's that Fast Pass. You just have to get it immediately, or you have to find the times that they're released. That's the only way. Otherwise, you have to know someone who's working on the ride who's willing to let you in. There are no like cheats for it, sadly.
So does Disney World, where you worked, do they use all of their acreage, or is there some in reserve? I mean, is it all being utilized right now?
No, not even close. A lot of it are used by roads in between parks, but also have a lot of room for expansion there because it's just roads and highways created pretty much by Disney for Disney. Also, some of it's used for their solar farms. They just built a new solar farm that's huge. I forgot how many acres exactly, but they already had one in the shape of a Mickey head, and now they're building another one to power more of the park. So they're using their space that way, and they're also expanding all of their parks, but they haven't used anywhere near the 28,000.
So is their park all completely solar powered?
With the opening of the new solar farm, it should be. The current one can power 2 of the less high-powered parks. I don't know which those are, but it can power 2 parks.
So is landlocked at this point?
Disneyland's pretty much at the point that it can expand very much more. Galaxy's Edge is going to be one of the last large expansions it has unless they can find a way to buy properties off of other people. But compared to Walt Disney World, it's much, much smaller, has very little of the acreage, but it's also located in like a more residential area, so a lot of the tourists it attracts are very different. It attracts cast members and it attracts annual pass holders from the area, unlike Disney's world of tourists.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.